Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today's video I'm going to talk about what I decided to do with the two John Deere 316 tractors that I talked about in a video I did a few weeks ago. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link up on the screen now for you to take a look at that. So to recap on that video a little bit, I had these two John Deere 316 tractors, one with its original own and engine, the one I already had with the Briggs & Stratton swap. And I was trying to decide what to do because I really didn't need to keep two of them. And I had a few options there of what to do. I could have parted out one of the tractors, or I could have pulled the own and engine out of the 316 that had the own and put the Briggs in it, which I said at the time that I didn't want to do. Or I could have parted out the Briggs & Stratton tractor and sold that swap separately. And there were pros and cons to any of those options. Like I said in the video before, I really didn't want to part out a good running tractor. I also said I didn't want to pull the own and engine that was running good out of this tractor here that you see in front of us. So my initial decision was to go ahead and keep this tractor you see right now that had the own and engine in it and sell the other tractor complete that had the Briggs & Stratton swap. Now the problem with that was that I knew, and I even mentioned this in the previous video, was that it would be highly unlikely that I would get out of that tractor what I had in it with the cost of the tractor initially and the cost of the swap. But I decided to put it up for sale anyway, just to see what kind of bites I'd get on it. And like I suspected, I really didn't get a lot of hits on it for the price I was asking for it, which was still ultimately really a loss on what I had in it, but what I thought was reasonable for a tractor in that kind of shape that had basically a brand new engine in it. And I even dropped the price a little bit after that, but I wasn't really willing to lose my shirt on it, so I decided to just go ahead and take it off the market and do something else instead. So ultimately what I decided to do instead, which goes against my original plan, was to go ahead and pull the own and out of the 316 that I bought and go ahead and swap the Briggs & Stratton Vanguard into that. And I was really hesitant to do that, but like I said, in the original video, that I really didn't see a reason to pull the own and out of this when it was running just fine. It did actually develop a starting issue not long after I posted that first video, where it would just click. It would take several attempts to get it to start. And I know there are some starter issues with the P218 tractors. I looked into whether or not the starter was engaging properly, if the flywheel was messed up or anything like that, and everything looked fine. So I think it was just ultimately an issue with the starter solenoid or the starter itself. I do have a B-series oil pan and starter here that I could have went and just swapped that out with, but ultimately I decided to go ahead and just swap the Briggs in there and be done with it. And that really comes down to sort of from the financial standpoint of not taking a huge hit on what I've already invested in these tractors. So now that leaves the question, well, what am I going to do with the other tractor, the other mower deck, the other own and engine that I have? I do have the mower deck up for sale separately, which is something I would have done regardless of what I decided to do here, unless I decided to sell a tractor whole with a mower deck. But so I put that up for sale. I don't need two 50-inch mower decks, so I decided to keep the nicer one of the two for myself. The other one is still a pretty solid deck. It'll work well for somebody else. As far as the other tractor, that's this one right here. Right now it's sitting with no engine in it. So I still have to decide what I'm doing with that. Currently I do have this chassis up for sale as a roller, to see if anybody's interested in it. I might decide to do something else with it if I don't sell it, and maybe put a different engine in it. I've even thought about putting the P218 in this. It really wouldn't be that difficult to do that. Now, I would have to go ahead and go through with the oil pan and starter swap because these older tractors don't have a cutout on the frame for the starter that was on the P218 to begin with. So that would require me to go ahead and do that, and that's something I'm not really 100% sure I want to do quite yet. But other than that, it'd be pretty much a bolt-in swap. If I do end up selling this roller and the other deck, then that'll leave me with the extra own and engine that I have. And I've thought about just keeping that for a backup for the 318. It is a P218 versus the B43 that's in the 318, but again, that's not a hard swap to do. I have the correct drive shaft and oil pan and starter and everything to make that work. So that's where I'm at with this. Like I said, it wasn't my first choice by any means, but from a cost standpoint, it just kind of made sense for me to go ahead and go that route, since I couldn't sell the Briggs tractor for a decent price. Ultimately, what it came down to for me was, drawing a line between having some sort of sentimental value to keep an own and engine in this tractor and losing my shirt on the Briggs swap. And I'm sure it's easy for some people to say, well, just keep the own, and well, it's not your money that you're playing with, and I think if it was, you might think a little bit differently about it if you put yourself in the same situation. And at the end of the day, for me, I do this with these tractors because I enjoy it. I don't really do it to please anyone else. So if I tick a few people off in the process of swapping this, and I'm sure I will. I'm sure I'll see a couple thumbs down on this video for that. So be it. That's what it is. So anyways, I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the video. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. I'd appreciate it. If you did like the video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you don't, well, stay tuned for the next one. I hope you like that one more. See you next time. Thanks.